Namaste everybody, and welcome to part 2 of how to awaken your mind. If you remember, in part 1 we spoke about setting boundaries for ourselves. So remember, this how to awaken your mind is a path. It's a path for us to follow. What does it mean then to awaken your mind? Is our mind asleep? The answer to that is actually yes. Most of the time our mind is asleep, because we don't see things the way they really are. We tend to see things the way we want them to be, or the way we think they should be, and we don't actually see them the way they are. So when we awaken our mind, when we wake up to reality, then we start to see things as they are. We start to see more clearly. So this path is going to take you hopefully to that point, or at least guide you in that sort of direction, so you can start to awaken your mind. You can start to see things as they clearly are. So we started last week with the path for setting boundaries. The reason that I started with boundaries was that because when we start the path, it's really important that we try to move in the right direction and we don't keep falling off the path. Of course, we're human beings and we're not perfect, so we definitely are going to drop off the path sometimes and back on it. And remember that this path is not a straight path from A to Z. It's actually a meandering path, and it'll go this way and this way and this way. But if we set ourselves boundaries, at least we know that, we're trying to keep within these boundaries. So in this part, I want to talk about one really key aspect of how we're going to awaken our mind, and that is awareness. Without awareness, we are never going to be able to awaken our mind. We're never really going to be able to fully live our lives. Scientists, I don't know how they work this out, but scientists have said that around 47% of our day we are not aware. So just let that sink in for a moment. Nearly 50% of our day is spent in unawareness, which means that we're working off old habits, old patterns. We're working from past experiences that may or may not have been good experiences, or useful experiences, skillful experiences. So 47% of our day is spent like that. We're asleep. We are sleepwalking through life. So when this happens, we have no control. If you're not aware, then how do you know what you're saying? If you're not aware, then how do you know what actions you're doing with your body? If you're not aware, how do you know your thought process and how those thought processes are taking you in a negative or pessimistic or an unskillful direction? So the key to awakening our mind is, and this is for all the way through this series, is to be aware of what is happening right now. If you're aware of what's happening now, it gives you time to actually choose what you're going to say, choose your actions, choose to follow this thought process or let this thought process go. But we can only do that when we're aware of what is happening. So that 47% of the time, in that time, there is absolutely no growth for us. There is absolutely no way that we can change, because we're not even aware of what we're doing. We're on autopilot. So it's only when we're aware, in that 53%, that when we're aware of what is going on, that we can change and we can grow. So awareness is the key to awakening our mind. So I'll keep talking about awareness all the way through this series, keep reminding you everything that I'm going to talk about, we need to bring awareness to that. So yes, in part 1 we were bringing awareness to setting ourselves boundaries. That this is where I choose to go and I don't choose to go any further. So today I want to talk a little bit about how we can start to build our awareness. So if you think of awareness like a muscle, and we need to work it out to get it nice and strong, if we can do that, then that 53% of the time when we are aware will grow. And just imagine then, if you can do 60-70% of your day in full awareness, just how you'll change and you'll grow and you'll make good choices and good decisions, because they will be conscious decisions. Remember, in that 43% when we're not aware, they are not conscious decisions. And that's why sometimes somebody shouted at us and we just naturally shout back without thinking, oh, actually, I didn't need to get angry. We just got angry or frustrated or whatever the emotion that came up. So we're going to look at 3 different areas that are going to help us to build our awareness. The first one is meditation, which I'm going to encourage you to do every morning. The second one is mindfulness, which I'm going to hopefully encourage you to do throughout the day. And the last one is reflection, which we do at the end of the day. So instead of just sitting down for half an hour or an hour a day and doing practice, if you follow this meditation, mindfulness, reflection, the whole of your day becomes a practice. So whatever you're doing, it becomes a practice. So we tend to think of practice when we sit down on the floor and we sit straight and we meditate and we look at our chakras or whatever practice you're going to do, should practice or whatever. But actually, everything is a practice. If you have and if you can bring awareness to every aspect of your day, then the whole of this day is a practice. Instead of 1 hour here or half an hour here, no, we've got a whole day of practice. If you can bring awareness to the moments where you're starting to get frustrated, for the moments when, strong emotions are coming, when negative thoughts are there, when people say or do something that upsets you, instead of getting annoyed at these moments, use those moments, become aware of them and use those moments as your practice. It will push you along the path so quickly. So let's just start off by looking at meditation. People misunderstand what meditation is about. I mean, the core of meditation. So the real core of meditation is trying to train our mind to focus on one thing. Once you've learnt to focus on one thing, you can do any type of meditation you want. You can look at your chakras, you can do Vipassana meditation, you can do Kundalini, whatever type of meditation practice you want to do. But until you've trained your mind to sit and focus on one thing, it's impossible to really do these practices wholeheartedly. Because what's happening is that we sit down to start to focus on, say, our chakras and that, and then our mind's gone, it's wandered off, and we've got to the heart chakra, and now we're thinking, oh yeah, then I used to love ice cream, and our mind goes in all sorts of odd directions. So first of all, we need to learn how to focus our mind single-pointedly on one thing. That's not just a skill for being on the path, that's a skill for the rest of your life. If you can go to work and sit in front of your laptop and stay completely focused, even though noise and phones are ringing and everything is going on around you, you're aware somewhere that this is going on, but it doesn't take your focus away. Look how your productivity and your creativity can grow. When you're driving, look how many less accidents there would be if people actually focused and concentrated on their driving. When you're reading a book, I'm sure that we've all done this, that we're there reading a book and we're liking the book, and then our mind goes off, but still we're reading the words and we're turning the pages and reading the words, but nothing is going in. So that's where we can bring awareness. So don't just think that by doing meditation it's just going to help you focus during meditation. Once you've learnt that skill of being aware, That skill you can take anywhere with you. I don't know about you, but when I was at school, the teachers used to always shout at me to pay attention, because I used to daydream quite a lot. So it was okay, yeah, pay attention. But not one of those teachers actually said to me, look, this is how you pay attention. And I'm sure the teachers are still doing that now. So learning meditation, learning how to focus on one thing, that's how you pay attention. That's how you bring awareness into your life. That's when you start to be able to grow and change, because you can focus. The meditation that I'm talking about here is breathing awareness meditation, anapanasati. We're just becoming aware of the breath. So many people say to me, I can't meditate because so many thoughts come into my head, or I can't meditate. Somebody actually said to me today in the market that, oh, he tried, but it's so boring. So these are all things that come into our mind. And of course, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, then of course it's going to be boring, isn't it? But when you're not thinking and you're focusing your awareness, then how can it be boring? Because you're just focusing on the breath. There's no room to be boring. And as for thoughts coming, thoughts are all part of your meditation practice. Do not think that those thoughts are taking you away from your practice. They are not. They are the practice. They're part of the practice. Every time we become distracted by thoughts and we realize that, oh, now I'm thinking, that is a moment of awareness. And what are we trying to do in this meditation practice? We're trying to build awareness. So I'm aware I'm breathing in, I'm aware I'm breathing out, oh, and now I'm aware I'm thinking. When that happens, all we have to do is just gently come back and focus our awareness on the breath again. Off we go again, and we become aware that we're thinking. We come back and watch the breath again. The more that you do that peacefully and gently, keep coming back to watching the breath, the more your brain waves will slow down. What happens is that when you go to sit down to meditate, then our minds are in this beta brainwave state. So this beta state is where we get around 60,000 thoughts a day. You know, we've been taught to follow our thoughts. That's why we become so exhausted at the end of the days, emotionally and psychologically, because we've been chasing after these 60,000 thoughts every day. Now, if these 60,000 thoughts were all individual thoughts, all new thoughts, then that would be wonderful. But around 70% or 75% of those thoughts, of those 60,000 thoughts, are reoccurring. Somebody said something to me, and all day long it keeps coming back. Why did they say that? Why did they do that? Why do they speak to me like that? So most of those 60,000 thoughts are reoccurring thoughts. They're not helpful to us. So when we keep coming back, what we're doing is we're teaching the mind we don't have to chase every thought. Not every thought is a winner. Not every thought is going to be skillful. So when we slow our brain waves down, it slows our thoughts down. When they slow those thoughts down, we can then catch the positive and the negative thoughts, the ones we want to follow, the skillful, helpful ones, the unskillful and unhelpful ones we want to let go of. So by just becoming aware of the rising and the falling of your breath, you'll start to slow those brainwaves down from the beta state down to alpha. So alpha is then when you start to relax a little bit and less thoughts are coming. If you persist with meditation and do every day, then you'll soon be able to get yourself into the theta stage. This is deep relaxation. It's like REM sleep, deep sleep. It's such a wonderful place for us to be. And of course, when we're in that theta state, less thoughts are going to come. But to get there, we have to keep having these thoughts and then gently coming back and thinking again and gently coming back. The more you do that, the brain waves will slow down. Once those brain waves start to slow down, then less thoughts will come. more time is spent on focusing on the breath. So these are the two key things you're going to get out of doing this breathing awareness meditation. You're going to learn focus, and you're going to teach your mind not to chase after every thought that comes into your head. Byproducts of doing this: patience. You're definitely going to get patience when you keep having thoughts and coming back. You breathe in, breathe out, and now I'm thinking again. So patience you're going to get. You're going to become more tolerant, more peaceful, more compassionate, and empathic. All these things are going to be byproducts of doing this simple meditation practice. The length of time is not important during this practice. What is important is regularity. We're trying to train our mind to focus on one thing. So like with every other skill, we need to practice. You know, if you wanted to become an Olympic swimmer, then you'd have to swim every day, and you'd have to, you know, practice every day. If you just did it on Sundays or when you had time to do it, you'd never become an Olympic swimmer. So you're never going to become an Olympic meditation person if you don't do it every day. So regularity is the key, not necessarily the length of time. If you can do between 10 and 20 minutes every morning, then after 4 to 8 weeks, you'll start to see a big change in yourself. You'll start to rewire your brain. You'll start to set your neurons firing in a more helpful direction. So just sit down, and you don't have to sit on the floor. You're not yogis, so you can sit on a chair like I am here. If you're sitting on a chair, this type of chair is great with a straight back, no arms, because then, you know, if you've got arms, you tend to sit like that, and then it's very difficult. So a good chair like this. When you're sitting on the chair, don't sit back into the chair. If you do, you'll soon fall asleep. If you sit like this forward, then you can't breathe properly. So sit a little bit away from the back of the chair with your back straight. Just drop those shoulders then. You know, if you sit like that and drop the shoulders, you see how you just sink down. So then you become nice and relaxed. It's so important that you are relaxed, because if you're not going to be relaxed, you're not going to be able to meditate properly. So back straight and just drop the shoulders. If you're sitting in the chair, make sure that your feet are flat on the ground and then a little bit apart from each other, so you're nice and stable. If you're sitting cross-legged, then you can move around and you'll lose your focus. So just feet flat on the ground, a little bit apart. For your hands, you just put them in your lap with the palms facing upward, whichever way you want. I mean, it could be like this, it could be like this, wherever you want to do. Now, what I would say is that whenever you do put your hands down, put your fingers and your thumb lightly touching. Now, there's nothing mystical here or magical. The reason for this is that when you're meditating, if you start to feel that you're putting a lot of pressure on these, you know, you're pushing really hard on the thumb and finger, it means you're concentrating too hard, you're trying too hard, and the meditation will probably end up giving you a headache. So, and if you start to feel you're meditating, you start to feel those fingers coming apart, it means you're about to fall asleep. So the reason for doing this is just a warning system. You're trying too hard or you're about to fall asleep. If you are about to fall asleep, and it happens to all of us, then if you find yourself just about to doze off, then start to take deep breaths. So breathe in and hold the breath, and breathe out, and do that for a minute or so. That'll bring lots of oxygen in your body. It'll get around into your blood system, get all around your body, and it will wake you up. When you feel a little bit more energetic, then go back to breathing normally and just back to your meditation practice. If you do actually fall asleep, then enjoy your sleep, it's okay. It's not meditation, but it's sleep, and you were probably tired, so then it's a win anyway. So when we're watching the breath, it's up to you where you watch the breath. We're all completely different. Some people like to just feel the air coming in and out here. Some people like to follow the breath all the way down. If you've never meditated before, what I would say is that the easiest way to start off with, and we're all different, but one of the easiest ways is by being aware of your stomach, the rising and falling of your stomach, because as you breathe in, then your stomach will come out, it will rise, and so will your chest and your shoulders. As you breathe out, you will fall. Don't force that, don't go like this, but just naturally, as we're breathing in and out, we have that natural rising and falling. So if you're meditating for the first time, then try that. Try to just watch the rising and falling. So if you've never meditated before, then what I would say is for the first couple of days, as you're breathing in, mentally recite the word in. And as you're breathing out, mentally recite the word out. So in and out. So what that does is it gives the mind something a little bit extra to do. So then you've got less chance of being pulled away by your thoughts. You will get pulled away by those thoughts. Don't look upon it as a real bad distraction or anything bad. It's part of the meditation. Just come back, start watching the rising and falling, and start reciting in and out. Only do that for the first few days or the first week. Don't keep doing the in and out, because then it becomes part of the practice, and all we really want to do is just watch our breath. That's all we're trying to do here. So I think that's enough practical instructions here. We're going to do 5 minutes of this now, just to give you a little taster. Again, I would say to you that do this in the morning, because when you're starting out on meditation, then the morning is the best time. Again, it's not something magical or mystical in the mornings. What it is that our mind is more at peace in the morning. When you come home from work and you try to sit down and meditate, all that's gone on in the day is going around in your head. It's like a washing machine on full spin. Why did that happen? Why did they do this? And so it's difficult for us to focus on the breath. So try doing it in the morning time. I would suggest that you pick a spot and you keep using that spot, at least for the first 8 weeks. So pick the same sort of time, the same spot, and just sit down. You don't need to wear anything special. I mean, loose clothes are good because, it helps us to breathe and settle down. But you don't have to buy anything special. You don't have to buy any Buddha statues or anything. Just sit, find a place quiet, sit down, back straight, shoulders dropped, feet flat on the ground, and then eyes slightly closed. You've got everything there. Okay? So let's give it a try, shall we? We'll do 5 minutes. Well, so just sit nice and comfortably now. Put your feet flat on the ground. Put your hands wherever they're going to be the most comfortable for you. Lightly touch your thumb and fingers together. Very lightly, okay? And then lightly close your eyes. So to begin with, let's just take 3 calming breaths, just to bring ourselves nice and relaxed. So breathe in slowly and deeply through your nose, and hold the breath. And breathe the air out through your mouth. And really push all of that air out. Breathe in and hold. And breathe out. Breathe in hold. And breathe out. And now just breathe normally. So we don't need to put any effort here. Your body knows how to breathe. So just allow it to breathe. Don't try to change that breath. Don't try to make it longer or shorter or faster. Just allow it to find its own natural rhythm. And as you're breathing in, become aware of the rising of your stomach. And as you breathe out, become aware of the falling of the stomach. And just leave your focus on that, the rising and falling. And on the in-breath, start to mentally recite the word in. And on your out-breath, mentally recite the word out. Remember, when you start thinking, just gently bring your awareness back to your breath again and start reciting in and out. Give yourself permission to relax here. For the next few minutes, you've got nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. So just relax and watch the rising and falling of your breath. Just notice that by watching the breath, how it starts to naturally slow down. How your mind starts to calm down. And your body becomes relaxed. So hopefully now you're starting to feel calm and peaceful and relaxed. Just imagine starting every day with this feeling. How wonderful would that be? Let's just spend a few more minutes just watching the breath. So now I want you to stop reciting in and out and just focus your awareness on the rising and falling. Don't worry if it's a little bit more challenging. It becomes easier with practice. So now I want you to just very slowly start to open your eyes. Just sit there a moment, just bringing yourself back into the outside world. So that was a little bit more than 5 minutes, but I'm sure it wasn't. Well, for some people it may seem like it was an hour, but start off slowly. If you're just starting meditation, just start off slowly. Do 3 minutes, 4 minutes, build up to 20 minutes. Unless you really want to do half an hour, 20 minutes a day is really more than enough. I mean, it is, it's a simple thing to do. If you set yourself, oh, I'm going to do an hour every day. Maybe the first day you will, maybe even the second day. But the third day you'll think, oh, I don't have time, so I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it the next day, and then we lose our practice. So don't be too enthusiastic and set yourself goals that you can't reach. Just slowly build up, and some days maybe you can only do 10 minutes. Other days you can do 20 minutes. It's fine. 10 minutes is better than nothing. So 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes each day, you really will start to see a difference. I'm sure if you sat there and just watch your breath now, that you already started to feel a little calm. So just remember, just think after 8 weeks what it would feel like. What we think we become, yeah? So it means that if you're thinking calm and peaceful thoughts, then of course that's what you're going to become. If you're thinking, bad thoughts or negative thoughts, or you get up in the morning and you're late and you're rushing around and you're running out the door eating and everything, so how do you think your day is going to be? So it's much nicer. Start your day like this. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And I will definitely answer them. I may not answer them straight away. There may be lots of questions, but I'll certainly get round to answering them. So this is the end of part 2 of how to awaken your mind. Next week in part 3, we're going to look at mindfulness practice and seeing how mindfulness practice will help build our awareness. And after that, we'll look at reflection practice. So I'm not really sure how many parts there's going to be, because I never know. Once I start talking, then it's difficult to stop me. So I don't know, there might be quite a few parts to this. But anyway, I'm going to leave them on YouTube, I'm going to leave them on Facebook, and I'm going to leave them on Instagram for you to always come back and look at. So thank you so much for joining me in this session. I hope it's been of benefit. Please try the meditation practice. Anytime you have any questions or any doubts or queries, please leave them in the comments for me. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you in part 3. Namaste.